Hello everyone, it's Morris here, and today back with another day of Axie Infinity Origins Season 2 Meta Analysis and Team Highlight. And so now we're in the Epic era. Yesterday, I guess people are still trying to get stuff, so I didn't really do any of the Team Highlights just because we haven't got into the Epic runes and charms yet. But now I think there are starting to have some, of course not the full build or anything yet because we still haven't been able to buy these rare, the epic charms and runes, but we do see people start using the rare, the epic runes and charms, and so that's why I want to actually cover quite a bit of how the meta has changed. Of course, a lot of people are still using, let's say, the original epic the rare team that they've been using. And maybe they just haven't played much after they got into the top ranks, but you do see that the main difference now compared to, let's say, a few days ago is really that a lot of Swirl's team, right? Basically, of course, Swirl's team ultimately dominated the end of the rare era, and I don't know how long it will last, meaning I feel like they could still be a thing, similar to, let's say, Poison is always a thing, so Swirl probably will always be a thing, I feel. Of course, it requires very specific kind of Axies and runes and charms. Actually, not so much about runes, but more about the charms and their specific Axies with a lot of retain or a lot of banish, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's definitely coming. And then the second team, this is a team, right, that I really want to highlight, is because when you look at it, it's like, how is this team getting like second, right? There's nothing special in the sense that there's no like a particular theme of, or it's a swirl team, or is it like a, in this case, a feather kind of team. And this one is really just aggro, optimized aggro, in the sense that there's just a lot of good cards, right? You see the two little P's, and then you have Tiny Dino. I think there are a few key cards. One I think is, well, the Shrimp, which actually in a way also with the Pocky here as well, allows to basically target different opponents such that you don't always hit in the front. So in a way, basically, Shrimp allows you to snipe off the back, which is very important. Of course, Corntail is just the usual strong stuff, and then with the new runes, and then of course this is a great defensive rune with 2 ways of taunting into this Axie as well. So I'm gonna go into this a lot more, even though it doesn't really look like anything special, but it gets to second place for a reason, I would assume. And then let's just see what else is out here. So yeah, do see the curse still around as well. So I think it's, maybe the meta hasn't really evolved yet in that sense, and it will slowly evolve, I feel. But yeah, you see a lot more swirl stuff. The very defensive rune, this is actually quite interesting as well. I quite like this one. Yeah, the tassel, I think, right, with a lot of the shield kind of things as a sustain. And then triple pigeon pose is still there as well. So I think I'm definitely gonna see how the meta will change over the epic era. And now, of course, it's still very early, so that's why I'm probably not gonna do like one every day at this point, just because I will have to see if anything changes significantly in terms of the meta. But for now, at least at the top, this is how it's gonna be. But let me just see what else. Yeah, so it's just a lot of different things. I think Shrimp is getting used quite a bit now. A bit of quite a lot of the it's a Garish Worm, that kind of thing, right? To remove opponent's retain card, basically. Okay, Swirl. Okay, this one is this Aggro. So I must say I quite like this so far, because you do see different things being represented at the top. So meaning different strategies are viable. Yeah, so I think it's good. It's a good meta so far, and but of course need to wait until like the epic runes and charm actually are available to buy, then people can actually optimize the team a bit more. Yeah, I quite like this one. That's actually, I think this one is all epic runes, right? Yeah, getting all the epic runes already with Moonlight Thief. I don't know, with Moonlight Thief is still like a good thing at this point. I think it's still good enough, especially as a tank. Also, you heal quite a bit, and yeah, you do see healing force quite a lot, which is pretty interesting. Just dealing more damage, I think. Is it? Yeah. So, and maybe a bit of heal. So, okay. So I think in terms of the meta, is, I won't call it all over the place, but there's just a lot of things going on, and even this one with the poison as well. So all sorts of strategy is definitely viable at this point, and that's why I think it's getting quite a fun. Yeah, I think it is getting pretty fun in that sense. And it's really more about the skill of team building and just, of course, playing your team as well. But I think team building quite important. Yeah, this one quite interesting as well with a double spear. Yeah, and again an aggro, but like getting a lot of like another way of getting feather as well here, and getting a lot, some leaves, which I'm not too sure if it's like, I guess it's just really a spike, so that like a spear, so that this one can get more spear, I would assume. So yeah, a lot of things viable, like sustain as well here. Yeah, I quite like it. So meaning just pick like what kind of play style you like, and then what I suggest you to do, right, is just, okay, you can let's say filter by runes, or you just basically scroll through, right? Okay, you see a sustain build, and then you can see how different people, the top players, are playing a sustain build. Yeah, so yeah, I quite like it so far. So let's jump into before that, let's look at this and see how it's like now. And yeah, but I would say unfortunately, but now I think it's actually quite good, meaning already down to 32%. I still see quite a lot of beasts, but now I do see a lot other things as well, and a lot of poison actually. That's why I think there are a lot of reptile, because yeah, I've been facing a lot more poison recently, even though I'm not at the top 1000 anymore now. I think I was like dropped down quite a bit because of experimenting with different teams. But still, yeah, down here a lot of reptile, a lot of beasts as well, which of course is not really represented by at the very top, because at the very top is very optimized. Yeah, at least like every class kind of get played. Yeah, maybe the max still hasn't, actually still got 4%, which is not bad. But I think slowly the beast will definitely go down, and part of the reason why actually the beast is just so dominant is this, first of all, it doesn't require that many like runes and charms. It's just the cards themselves are strong. Once you get like the epic rune, the rare runes, I think it should be pretty strong. Also, it's just simple to play. You just basically aggro. You just, of course, like aggro is not like that simple as well, but it's just at the lower level you really just dominate opponent if you just draw into the cards, and then you just KO the opponents before they can KO you, especially at the low level, because at the lower level then the opponent's team are not as optimized. Then basically you can really just steamroll the opponent's team a lot faster. So that's basically how it is, and part of the reason also why Beast is so dominant is because previous season just a lot of people bought Beast and then they have the Beast Axie. Yeah, so that's probably why, I think. Okay, let's just jump into today's team highlight, and it is this team with Pure Instinct, which is interesting, very supportive kind of thing, because now what it does is, I think, increases the class class bonus for the other two Axies by 10% or something, so give 10% class bonus. So I think definitely supporting this beast, because then this beast is going to do a lot of damage with already the Reckless Hunter dealing, I think, 20% more, and with this as well, so effectively is something like 30% more. So I think this is gonna be like hitting very hard, and basically like both of these is kind of support the mid, because the other two are very defensive in that sense. Okay, actually this one is not that defensive, has a bit of healing with the mouth actually, but then mostly this one is for support in terms of the rune and also the current tail. And in order for the front to survive, there are two ways of taunting, right, from the back, so that, and of course with the defensive rune allows the back to survive a bit longer as well, and also with the tail. So let's just quickly go into each of the Axie, because I must say there's really no theme other than just hitting the opponent hard, just using good cards, and there's a bit of like a theme in the sense of like there is quite a bit of energy gain as well. So like because you always have current tail, and then like the energy fragment you'll always get it if you have this innocent lamb that changed into current tail. So there's a bit of ramp also, so that you can use the current tail faster, so KO the opponent faster. Yeah, but Little Peas, Hungry Bird actually very strong, because deals 80 damage, heals you a bit as well. And then yes, the Pocky is the one that really, I guess, is important, because then you can focus on one Axie to try and pick up the KO. Once you pick up a KO, then you basically steamroll the opponent from there. And then I guess this is the one I forgot to show, is that Yeah, in a way it's very budget. Of course, okay, this one I bought way ago, but still like pretty cheap. And then this one, right, I was looking at the price and I was like, okay, not very cheap, but it's compared to like the top Axies, like this is like, yeah, pretty affordable, I would say, compared to, yeah, like one of those more optimized Axie. And this is pretty optimized as well. Is this maybe because Beast just played a lot, I think. Now, of course, with the Belieber, little piece as well, ways of gaining rage so that you can get value from Belieber. Of course, if you are running to a sustain build, then maybe you actually might not want to use up your rage and just get to the the Fury form. Similarly, right, the Corontail, you don't have to use it as well. Let's say if you want to, if you're playing against sustain, you probably want to just get to energy burst and go from there. Axie Kiss, again, this is all the strong cards, right? Tiny Dino did 120 damage usually. Axie Kiss, just very strong card because of a death mark, and then also finish off the opponent because it targets the lowest HP enemy, and then Ronan just strong. I think this is gonna hit very hard, especially with the little branch as well. Okay, and then the back. The back allows you to draw a card, which I think is pretty strong. Because you can, let's say, maybe you want to discard some of the cards that you might not want. Let's say maybe like weaker card, like Pokey, if you don't want it, and then draw into the key cards that you want during key turns. And then 2 ways of taunting, I think that's quite important, so that you keep your front alive, so that you can actually use the 2 copies of Corontail you have. And then you have the Shrimp. So for the Shrimp, I think maybe this is another key card because it again allows you to snipe off an opponent. Let's say if the opponent taunted the front, and then you can just hit the target the back and then try to KO the back. This one I guess just comes with it. I'm not too sure if there's anything interesting here, but so this one again synergizes well with the Corontail, again like the energy fragment thing, so that let's say if you're going against sustain, then maybe you want to just get to the energy burst before you use a Corontail, so that's another way. So let's actually just see how it's played, because I have no idea how it kind of win games. So maybe let's just look at how it goes against maybe some sustain kind of build, perhaps, or let me just see what else is out there. Let's just look at how it goes against sustain. Okay, so let's just pause here. Let's just see how the runes and charms go. So we've kind of seen the runes already, but the charms. Okay, another way of getting rage in the mid as well. So that's, of course now only 1 copy, but maybe later on you'll get more copies as you go along. But yeah, you can see the cleanse as well, also actually pretty nice. This one is a very good use as well, because it basically allows you to cleanse anytime. Let's say if the opponent put you to sleep, you can, like, let's say put your mid to sleep or something, right? You can actually cleanse it off. Of course, there's no downside effectively, because like it doesn't really have any heal. Like 5 to 4 doesn't really mean much. And then this quite aggressive. You can see, right? All of them has not all, but a lot of them has the aggressive, like the attack increase kind of charm. And then here, I think as well, especially Ronan definitely needs to increase attack charm. Do have a bit of a sustain. I guess it's this one. 404 mainly is because you do get 10, or is it 10 from this as well, so that you mitigate some of the HP decrease. This is the quite interesting. You put the so Belieber also 35, I think pretty strong. Okay, let me just see what else. Here. Okay, I think the key one, of course, is this one. I think this one you just want to keep alive as long as possible because of the 2 taunt and also because of the armor. So this is actually a more defensive one. And also a support one. And the reason being, actually, this one I think is the key, one of the key, because now it allows you to basically keep this until the turn where you have a lot of burst damage. You draw into your good cards, basically. Then you can use Shrimp to basically finish your opponents off. Okay, let's just see how it plays out. But before that, let's just quickly look at the opponent's team as well. And very interesting. Just a lot of shield with a bit of consistency getting your cards, and then with the self, spike kind of thing. And then you get more spike, which is interesting that only has 1 spears, but it basically gives you 1 spike. Have a cleanser as well, just a lot of shield. So that's why I'm not too sure how the opponent's team, I guess, win, in the sense that Okay, there are some damage card, but then it's mostly about shielding up. Some AoE shield as well as the, just a single shield. Yeah, a lot of AoE shield I noticed. Maybe just against aggro. And then Robin, again, not too sure how it works. Of course, you need these combo to go against poison, but basically, ultimately, it is about the sustain. And yeah, Little Robin, not sure how it synergizes with this, but let's just see how this one goes. Okay, so this is aggro. And maybe partly it's because our opponent's team not really like that optimized, but it does have a cattail at the end. Okay, so this okay, I get how this Robin works in the sense that it's just like a meat shield to take a hit. This is it where Poke works? Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, we're using the Axie Kiss, and then yeah. No, just hitting this. Okay, so probably not the target. Maybe it doesn't really matter too much in this case, to be honest. That's because you have to get rid of it at some point. Okay, but our opponent's still at a very good position at the moment, not really taking that much damage for now. And so now you can just gonna use like this very strong attacks. But the opponent having the cleanse actually is like the cleanser counters this pretty well. But start doing some damage, you can see, right? And opponent doesn't have ways of healing in a way. Not that many ways of healing it up. No leaves or anything, no passive healing. So it's literally just shield, shield, shield. The only heal is probably the cattail, is it? So okay. Yeah, so it's just using very strong attacks as well, right? So this is like 80 damage kind of thing, but you can see it's still not there. A lot of, because of the this rune, right, it put the cleanser on, and that just means, yeah, little piece is a bit useless in that sense if you always can be able to keep your cleanser. Okay, another way of getting the cattail just because you have the innocent lamb. So basically, in the way I can see, it's basically a permanent taunt on this Axie. Opponent can't get through, and then yeah, then that's basically how the strategy goes. So in a way you can see, right, keeping the current tail, really just using, like, getting the energy burst first, and you can see how this team goes against sustain. Is that okay? Because you have the two ways of getting energy fragment, then you do get to energy burst faster than opponent. Opponent managed to get to energy burst as well. Yeah, so okay, but this time around didn't get the cleanse, didn't get a shield from this Axie, so it's really relying on this rune to get the cleanser, and now starting to take a bit of a hit just because it has the vulnerable, but still not enough to finish it off so far. But yep, probably had a cattail as well, right? I would assume. Let's see. Yep, cattail, and then probably Silent Whisper. No, okay, just an AoE shield. I guess shield is still better in that sense. Okay, so yeah, just dealing a lot more damage. They're trying to chip away from the shield now because of the vulnerable. I think this is like the key, right? Without, yeah, so manage to burst through the back. I think that's the key turn. Because let's say if you didn't have a vulnerable, I feel like still have been able to finish the opponent off the back. But now I think because you lose your back Axie, then I think this one is GG already. It's very hard to, yeah, very hard to come back in that sense. Now, like, the opponent is a bit wary that, okay, has a shrimp, then you can target either Axie, and so okay, so one of the shield actually shuffle a lot of goo in, because when you use a keep function, then you shuffle a goo. So in a way, it's still okay, but now you're really just keeping your cards so that you can burst through. And now let's just see which one to target, because now with shrimp you can target either one of them. Let's see. And now it's getting to the Blood Moon as well. Yep, so very smart targeting the back, because the opponent is likely to shield the front, and now that you know the opponent didn't have any shield, then you can just burst through them. So that's the way of, like, basically how shrimp works in that sense. Just managing to burst through the opponent. And yeah, okay, keeping the current tail for next turn. And of course now I think the opponent is gonna be pretty tough, because there's just so much damage coming in, and yeah, you just getting curse card at this point. Yeah, you can shield however much you want, but the shield will go away at some point, and there's not many ways for this Axie to deal damage, so you can really just keep. Okay, not even keeping. Just chipping away from at the cleanser first. At this point, I think. Okay, yeah, the keeping stuff now, right? So that you're just waiting for the Blood Moon to go. Yeah, might as well just hit into it just to chip away at like some minimal health. At this point actually didn't mean too much, but getting the cleanser away is important. And now yeah, opponent just getting the revenge cards. So yeah, but even without all these, ultimately the opponent is going to take Blood Moon until the point where the total health is very low, and as long as you keep enough burst damage, then it's pretty much GG. Yep, little piece. There's no more cleanser, so no way to. Yeah, once the back basically is gone, then I think it's pretty much GG, because now you just keep all your strong cards. Yeah, these two is basically strong burst damage. This one is already automatically kept, so it's not like you choose to keep this one, but this one also, so that you can get into your strong card if you actually don't get it, but I'm pretty sure at this point it should be able to burst through. Yep, boom boom, and then just yeah, any attack card would do, and that's GG's. Wow, so very strong attacking kind of team. Is this a strong aggro with shrimp so that you can actually bypass the shield once you burst through the opponent. Yeah, I quite like this team. Even though like maybe it's not the most optimized in terms of end game, because I feel like end game then people's team will be a lot more optimized. Okay, let's just see. Maybe okay, I want to actually watch this one. This one is like shrimp against shrimp. So yeah, an opponent has maybe more burst or something. So let's just see how this one plays out. And of course, I feel like this kind of is kind of 50-50 in a way, like aggro versus aggro. So let's see. Okay, so let me pause a bit, and then let's just look at the opponent's Axie. So this one again quite defensive with yeah, a way of getting the rage, and then yep, again keeping the shrimp I think is one of the key of getting to the top at this point. Yeah, shrimp is just strong, and then lamb. Okay, I mean it's just overall strong aggro as well, so it's very similar in terms of the build. I have the Axie Kiss, but I think the key part is basically not having the taunt maybe hurts the opponent a bit, but let's just see. Yeah, so you can see getting the taunt as early as possible is actually pretty strong, because you do get the calcium armor value. Let's just see. Okay, but opponent managing to get to the rage, and maybe they can at this point get to a fury mode as well. So let's just see. Choosing not to taunt, which is interesting. Maybe just don't want the back to take too much damage, but do want to burst through the front so that the shrimp will be gone. So it feels like the opponent actually might not be able to use the shrimp that efficiently, but of course it does still get the calcium armor value. Let's just see. Yeah, this one I feel like is close, right? The shrimp is basically gone, right? So I think that is why like opponent's team is actually, I feel like, not as strong. But of course, like ultimately it is a card game, right? Sometimes it's just about the draw. So okay, so manage to burst through the front because of the vulnerable, and then do this. And not sure. Yeah, maybe should have used the lamb first. Not sure. Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting to not play the little piece and things, because you do want to get through it faster. But I guess. Oh, it's just the draw this turn is not the best. But now I think, yeah, the problem is that I didn't get to the taunt card, because I think it's literally this turn, right? If this turn, yeah, it got to the taunt card, then I think it has a pretty good chance, because now once the Reckless Hunter is gone, then it's basically GG's, because the bat doesn't do as much damage. And unfortunately, yeah, this is still alive. So you can imagine if last turn got the taunt card, right? Just get yeah, this card basically, then yeah, it'll be a very different game. But now, yeah, it's tough because the front got a sniper very quickly, and so there's no extra energy, and yeah, this is basically, yeah, GG's it feels like, because the back still has the coin tail. Yeah, so I mean, in terms of aggro versus aggro, this is how this goes, right? Sometimes it's just how it is, and yeah, once yeah you the game plan didn't go as planned basically, then I feel like there's one turn where I should have taunted the the back, but chose not to. So I think that was probably the mistake of this game. Not too sure how that will change the outcome, but of course not getting the taunt at the key turn is also tough as well. And yeah, okay, so this is it for this episode. Probably a pretty quick one just because it's just aggro versus aggro, but still interesting, and see how this kind of team will still be relevant at the end of the season. Okay, so that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.